So hello and welcome back yet again to another Exploring Azeroth with Beryl and friends. Mostly Beryl and her twin sister, well, not twin sister, and her sister Onyx, but occasionally we have to have a extra person come in. And we are actually starting off exploring the Jade Forest. Onyx began our Jade Forest journey, but she missed something. She explored the northern part of the Jade Forest, but I didn't know about this place until just recently, so I figured it would be where we start off. I'll pull up the map right here. As you can see, we are way up here in the northern portion, just above the Terrace of Ten Thunders and the Tian Monastery. And this is Owen's Wishing Well. Now, Owen's Wishing Well is actually a kind of player memorial. It is a memorial that was put into the game in reference to Brian Owen Wicks, who visited Blizzard Entertainment headquarters on February 24th, 2012 through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they actually gave him an entire fountain that has a couple interesting and unique things about it. You've got this bird. You can't actually do anything with the bird, but I don't think I've ever seen another bird like it. You've got a lot of frogs that are running around here. They're wishing frogs. I don't know if you can actually wish them, and I wish on them, and I don't think that I actually want to kill one to find out if I get a buff from it, so not gonna do that. But there's two other things here in Owen's Wishing Well. One is this clickable coin. You click it, you toss it in, and for 10 minutes, it just says that you made a wish and you feel lucky. And that is in reference to the whole Make-A-Wish Foundation and how many people that they've helped through their ability to give mostly kids with terrible diseases something of their heart's desire. And the other thing is, if you have, well, any character will be here for them, but like Beryl is actually a rogue, so this will be useful. There is a dagger that is at the bottom of the well. It is Woden's Manted Shanker, and there we go. So if you haven't been here before, it's a good place to start. And now we will go back down to where Onyx left off and explore the southern half of the Jade Forest. So this first area doesn't really have much going on except for a Pandaren dig site. I honestly am mostly just here for the vibes. Orchid Hollow is beautiful. And so much of Pandaria is absolutely gorgeous, but this is one of those spots that I kind of fell in love with just because you don't see many of the pinks and purples, and this set of flowers in particular is just absolutely stunning. So that is why I decided to take you here to Orchid Hollow and Shady Brook Pocket. Now, the more important lore-wise thing that is over here is the whole Serpent's Heart, the temple of the Jade Temple, and all of that, all of those complexes. And Serpent's Heart, which is where we're going to go first, is right over here. It is this gorgeous statue. It is a huge jade statue to the Jade Serpent, and it's taken 3 generations of stone carvers, an entire century, to get it as carved as it is right now. You can see they've been working on it for a very long time. If I remember correctly, because of the Horde and Alliance, this absolutely gorgeous statue gets ruined. which is kind of why I haven't actually advanced the zone, because I hate seeing this turn so nasty. But yeah, this is the Serpent's Heart. It is a big 300-year project that the Horde and Alliance completely mess up. From what I've understood, though, after Mists of Pandaria, Fenella Darkfire, and the Pandaren Stonemasons are back at it, trying to rebuild the statue, which is at least a good thing. But, yeah, we'll fly back a little bit and kind of take it in all of its glory there. It is a beautiful statue. Honestly, everything in Pandaria is absolutely gorgeous. Now, this area over here, right in front of us, is Serpent's Overlook, which is only accessible via questing or, obviously, flight mounts. But this is where Lorewalker Cho has his family shrine, and you can kind of just hang out here and check it out. It's not as amazing as another place that we're going to go to, which is Lorewalker Cho's, like, personal place, but this is an actually really pretty little area. And as I keep saying, every place in Pandaria is absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know, I think this is kind of when Blizzard really started knocking it out of the park on environment. Even Draenor, which I have quibbles with, I have really enjoyed the whole aesthetic of it, but Pandaria it's my happy, relaxing place. And, I mean, you just take a look at this little house with its two gorgeous little beds and pretty much the very first bathtub that you ever see in a house in a zone, which is kind of awesome. Also, okay, I thought that they were floating. No, they are floating. Huh. Magic floating books. Well, what do you know? I'm not going to ask. Obviously, they're Lorewalker's Cho's books, and he can make them float if he wants to. Anyway, when you're doing the quests, this is the man who will bring you back down off the mountain for Loremaster Cho. Just below the Serpent's Overlook, as we fly down here, is the Nectar Breeze Orchard. The Nectar Breeze Orchard is a cute little orchard, and they have been making nectar for generations, but unfortunately, they are under attack by the Mogu, and you have a bunch of quests that you can help them to save their nectar, attempt to save their village. You have to put out a lot of these fires and all of those things. But it's just a very cute little town. Unfortunately under attack, but hey, this is World of Warcraft. That seems to be what happens here a lot. So, I'm not gonna lie, I seriously debated on whether or not to put this area into this video just because it's kind of my happy place and my very favorite spot in all of Pandaria. It's the place that Beryl has called home for many, many, many years, ever since I actually created her character here on World of Warcraft back in Battle for Azeroth, and that's Shang's Valley. Now, Shang's Valley might not look like much to you as you're just kind of looking around a little bit. There is a rare that spawns right here in Shang's little pavilion, but more importantly, it has possibly the best house in the entire game. And I don't say that lightly because finding houses is kind of my thing, and I love this place. You've got a taster's arena for all of your tasting parties that you want to hold with your guild, maybe. You can have everybody come down here and taste the brew that you just made, because not only is there a taster's arena, you have your very own, at the top of the hill, brewery set up with your very own still and plenty of hops and barley or whatever else you need to make beer. You can tell I don't do much drinking. And this absolutely beautiful little house. So now you know where Beryl technically lives in World of Warcraft. She lives here in Shangs Valley in this absolutely gorgeous little house. There are plenty of other very good houses. In fact, there are more good houses in Pandaria than any other area in World of Warcraft except Battle for Azeroth Alliance side. Battle for Azeroth Alliance side has a plethora of good houses, but there's something about the whole vibe of this place with the scrolls on the walls and, of course, the best beds in the entire game. Like, fight me on it. Actually, please don't. I'm a pacifist. These beds look like they would be the most comfortable and cozy beds pretty much anywhere in World of Warcraft. So, could be a mistake, but there you go. That is my absolute favorite house in the game. Now, not too far to the north of Beryl's house is the Jade Temple. So if you are ever running Pandaren dungeons and you need to know where they are because you don't want to queue for it and you just want to run in, it is right here. There is a flight point. It has the cute little town here. They are having some issues with the Shah, which is the whole point of you going into the dungeon. But yeah, this is the Jade Temple, the temple dedicated to the Jade Serpent, and the dungeon entrance happens to be right there, so you can just run right in. It's also a very good area if you want to jump over it and just run around inside. You can actually do that just by jumping over the entrance. And then you're in an uninstanced version of the dungeon, so if that is ever something that you kind of want to do, instead of just going into the dungeon itself, if you wanted to, say, use this area without having to clean it out first for RP or whatever, you could totally do that just by jumping over the dungeon entrance and running on in here. As we continue going south, we are going to come up upon an interesting little village as we traverse the bamboo wilds, which, again, there is nothing that is just more chill than Pandaria. Okay, with the exception of, like, the Dreadwastes. That's not a very chill zone, but it is a very fun zone. But here we have Pearl Lake and Pearlfin Village, home of the Jinyu, who are, from what I understand, distant ancestors of the Murlocs. Now, they're much taller than the Murlocs. They evolved in a different way. They're a very interesting culture, and one that I think would be a lot of fun to have as an allied race. I don't know that I would necessarily play them, but they're kind of cool. And they make beds that I tend to say would be perfect for gnomes. Because if you check them out here, there's some on the wall and some on the ground. They don't look like they would be comfortable for a full-size player. Like, I could not see an orc bedding down in this little half a seashell. But for like gnomes and such, it could be a lot of fun. Also, I find it funny that the the innkeeper has a tiny goldfish pet, because that is a pet that you can actually get via fishing. I think anywhere in Pandaria, but I know I've fished up several of them just by fishing in the Jade Forest. And it's always a fun time when you fish up a pet. This is also where you kind of first see the water striders, which for a long time were the only real water walking mounts in the game. Since then, you can now buy equipment to make all of your mounts into water walkers, but for a long time they were the only water walking mounts in the game, and you actually got them from the fishing dailies from Nat Pangle. So, fun little fact. Not so much a big deal anymore, but still a fun little fact. So unfortunately, our Pearlfin villagers are actually under attack, and that is how they end up allying with the Alliance, as opposed to the Horde, who actually ally with the Grookins here, or the Hosen. The Jinyu and the Hosen have been at odds for a very long time, and you can go right over here to their other village, Moonwater Retreat, where you can see the Hosen have pretty much overrun the village, and that is how the Alliance gets them on their side, by helping fight off the Hosen, who are sort of a part of the Horde. I don't know if they're a part of the Horde during that attack, but they are definitely a part of the Horde. You can also pass through the Amberfly Bog. I know that there were quests here, but honestly, not gonna lie, they weren't very memorable, so I don't really remember much about them. But right up ahead is the home and absolute, another one of my favorite houses, the home of Lorewalker Cho, the Dreamer's Pavilion. Now, if you're an Alliance character, you will actually get a quest chain to come and meet Lorewalker Cho here. And he's just got a gorgeous house. He's got his little shrine over here. Very nice. He's got his candles and his incense set up. What looks like maybe a family altar with a little bonsai tree, some little offerings in it. Just absolutely beautiful. He's got these pet cranes that he has running around. He has a pet tiger named Summer, who, if you read this, it says, "The great cat barely bats an ear at you, even when you run your fingers through her thick fur," which, a petable giant tiger? Yes, please. I am all for it. He's got his little, looks like maybe cooking area over here. He's making himself some potions. And then he's got his little house, which is back in here. Again, perfect Pandaren house. You got the cute little bed, you've got all the scrolls, and even his other companion, Autumn, who is not nearly as happy to see you. It shies away from you, so you don't get to pet Autumn. And Lorewalker Cho also has a beautiful overlook down to his own little private, I would say beach, but it doesn't look like it's very sandy. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of shipwrecks out there, but hey, you can't have everything perfect now, can you? Alright, and we are going to leave the Dreamer's Pavilion, unfortunately, because it's a gorgeous place to just hang out. Plus, one of the only places that you ever see a painting that was painted, I'm assuming by Lorewalker Cho, just hanging on the wall. I mean, you might have to fight your way here through the Amberfly Bog and watch out for bog crocolisks and mist creepers, but it's absolutely worth the trip. It's also a good spot even for Horde players, because there's no NPCs there, and that is always a vibe. But now we're going to go over the Foresthosen area, the Slingtail Pits, and we are going to go to our last stop on our tour of the Jade Forest, and that is where the Alliance portal actually is, and that is Pawdon Village. Now, Pawdon Village is below me because, of course, I was flying the wrong way. It's an unusual place, not only because that's where the Alliance portal is, but because they are famous for their apple orchards. Instead of their beer, they are famous for their apple cider, and the apple cider provides most of their livelihood. I cannot believe I keep missing this place. There we go. The apple cider provides most of their livelihood, and it is the thing that, like I said, they are the most famous for. So if you're an Alliance character, this is where your portal also is, and where most of your trainers are, and a lot of your initial questing in Pawdon Village is actually helping them to defend their apple orchard and just kind of make sure that everything is going swimmingly. The other thing of note is this is also the location of the Skybreaker, which is our Alliance gunship, which is the, I do believe, like PvP type base, because down here you also have Garashar Point, which is the Horde area, and you can do a lot of different daily quests up in here off of the Skyfire fighting against the Horde. So yeah, that is where we are going to leave everything, with one minor note that you can actually see if you go just off the coast. You can actually see the Timeless Isle, which is where we're going to look at next. Not so much because it's the easiest place to get to, but because I don't want to forget it. You can get to the Timeless Isle just by running, but you pretty much run almost out of the fatigue zone, and I would not recommend doing it. There is a much easier way to get to the Timeless Isle that we will talk about next week. So, until next week, when Beryl and Onyx should be examining the Timeless Isle for us, thank you for coming along. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you go and visit Owen's wishing well and make yourself a wish as well. But until then, leave me a thumbs up if you don't mind. It does always make me smile, and I will see you next week. Say goodbye, Beryl.